Guys, welcome back to the channel. Today I'm going to be reacting to a video called Poland 1950. Okay, I have no idea how Poland looked like back in the 1950s. I barely know how it looks like now. So I'm very intrigued. Let's check it out and comment, like, and subscribe. Oh my, okay, everyone's dressed.
Holiday costumes, rural Polish villagers,
Yes.
Collection of the long history and tradition of Poland.
I love the hat.
So are simple old-fashioned farm implements, which are still used to cultivate much of the land.
Very rural,
And
yes.
slow methods of transportation, which are still used in much of rural Poland.
Horses, of course.
Stately
They had
palaces, which once housed the nobility, are another Polish tradition that were established in the Middle Ages.
Did they had kings and queens and monarchies by that point? No, right? No, of course they didn't.
Although history and tradition are important in Poland, this is a country slowly becoming part of the modern world.
Yes.
Modern public buildings, transition, new factories producing a variety of manufactured goods
I love
are
the
also
architecture.
important in today's Poland. But with all its recent emphasis on heavy industry and modern trends, the key to understanding Poland is knowing that this is a country where agriculture is most important to the people.
I wonder it was a little bit split, right? A lot of rural parts in which, the farm was the way of life, and also, they was getting industrialized at the same time.
Understanding the geography of Poland will help us discover why farming is important.
It's always
Broad,
important.
flat plains, as a physical map of Poland shows, occupy nearly two-thirds of the country.
Oh, that's a lot.
In addition to these flat plains, there's a region of hills and a fringe of mountains. Although the mountains and hills are useful to the Polish people, this flat region of plains has been the traditional source of Poland's wealth.
It makes sense, yes. Those
Here
are
the
cool
land
things.
is land that has been valued highly for centuries. Early in Poland's history, when the country was a vast kingdom, large areas of rich, productive land were sectioned off and ruled by members of the nobility, who lived in state palaces.
It always was. Feudal system.
Palaces and mansions were maintained by the rental paid by peasants who lived simply and who worked the land belonging to the nobles.
I wonder
The
what they
richness
grew.
of the land and the bumper crops it produced did
Is that a
not go
sunflower?
unnoticed. Throughout history, several nations have been envious of the productive Polish soil, and the country has
What exactly do they grow? Are they famous for growing something in particular?
often been a battleground. For example, in the last half of the 18th century, Prussia and Russia joined Austria in attacking the rich, almost defenseless country.
That's, okay, awful.
3 times Poland was overrun, and the land divided between the victors.
It's three
But the
times.
Polish
Oh
people,
my.
who deeply love their country, continued to survive.
It's incredible. It's so resilient.
Following World War I, in which many Polish soldiers fought and died, Poland was re-established as an independent nation through the efforts of the United States. Once again, however, at the outbreak of World War II, Poland was trapped in a vice
Poor people.
between Germany and Russia.
The poor generation of people that live both wars. I mean, when you feel it's over, it isn't at all.
Countries again overran the practically defenseless land.
Yeah, we know how that went.
The destruction that took this great war was tremendous. At the end of the war,
Devastating.
Polish people, as they had after past wars, set about clearing away the rubble and began the gigantic task of rebuilding their cities.
It's insane that they had to do this several times, which is, oh my god, how many times I have to do this?
Because of their love for tradition, many of the new buildings constructed by the Poles are almost exact duplicates of historic buildings which stood centuries ago.
And how did they know that?
For example, this in the capital city of Warsaw was copied from paintings made by the Italian artist Canaletto.
Oh my god, it was
visited Poland
paintings.
in the 18th century.
Oh my god. It had remained unchanged for
Rebuilding
years.
the cities has been done not only in the tradition of history, but in the modern style as well. Although some of the modern Polish buildings might look old-fashioned in modern American cities.
Oh, because of
A change
yes.
in building styles was only one of the changes that took place in post-war Poland.
Yes, that's the
For peace
distinct
again brought
style.
changes to the map of Poland. Poland gained a large area of productive farmland from Germany, but gave up some of its eastern territory to the Soviet Union.
Ah,
In addition, Soviet troops occupied East Germany and Poland and were instrumental in bringing communist
Oh my.
governments into power in both countries.
all the
A
borders are
communist
changing.
government established the People's Republic of Poland, though it was contrary to the country's historic traditions. To the other communist nations, Poland is important because its people produce much-needed goods and foodstuffs. As we take a closer look at communist-governed Poland, try to keep in mind how the things this country is doing affect world politics and trade.
All
Let's
nations
begin
affect
with
the
the
world.
breadbasket region, the wide, flat Central Plains area of Poland.
The breadbasket,
This
what?
area contains over 31 million acres of land under cultivation, more than the entire total area of East Germany, one of Poland's neighbors.
Wow. That's insane.
Not
That's a
long
lot of
after the
land.
Second World War, the government tried to control farm production by establishing large collective farms.
Mm,
On collective farms, many families work together, but the machinery as well as the land and houses belong to the government. Most
Like in a
Polish
feudal
farmers
system.
did not care for this system of collective farms, and today most homes
Of
and
course.
farms are still owned by individual families. One
very
reason for this
suburban.
can be seen in the small villages which dot the Polish countryside. The Poles have always been a devoutly religious people, and their loyalty to the Catholic Church, which
Oh,
opposes
yeah, they're
communism,
Catholics.
has helped maintain some freedom. After early services, the families return to their farms for breakfast. This farm belongs
Breakfast
to
is
the
later?
Kamakowski family. The morning meal consists of a variety of favorite Polish foods.
Such as?
There's
Bread?
the familiar Polish rye bread, cut in thick, generous slices.
Oh my god, it looks so good.
Farm sausage, eggs and butter, and fresh milk.
Of course, everything is grown in the farm. They do their own butter, probably. Well, obviously, they weren't buying this. And obviously, the fresh milk and the bread they make themselves. Everything's homemade. And the eggs are from the chickens of their own farm.
After breakfast, work begins.
Oh my.
All will stay on the farm except Maria, who goes to the village school.
How
Father
did they-
Kamakowski and
How did they choose whose kid? Not all kids went to school, so only one gets to go to school. How do they pick this?
his oldest son, Stanisław, set out for the fields, and
Oh.
Maria leaves for school, while Mother and Tadeusz go off to feed the chickens.
The little kid's probably too
Most
young, and
farm
the older
families raise
or
hogs and
graduated.
cows, as well as poultry. Much livestock was killed in the war, but the raising of animals is once again increasing in
Oh
Poland.
my god, I hadn't thought of that. Yes, of course, war destroyed it.
Crop production, too, is increasing after the unsuccessful experiment in collectivized farming. Polish farmers, like the Kamakowskis, produce bumper crops of the very important wheat and other grains such as oats and rye. These grains grow well in the fertile soil and favorable climate of Poland. This is a climate that is generally pleasantly cool in summer, with abundant amounts of rainfall.
Doesn't it get
Also
snowy?
contributing to increased crop production is the widespread use by Polish farmers of chemical fertilizers.
Oh, they were already using this back in those
These
days?
fertilizers are produced in Poland itself, in
Oh!
the south, the industrial area of the country. In this area of Poland, we'll find little farming, for this is an area of mining activity.
Very tough job.
The
Well, not
land
that farming
here is
isn't,
rich
but...
in a variety of natural resources. New mines are being opened, and quantities of ores are being mined today. Ores such as zinc, magnesium, barium, and others used in the production of chemicals.
Yeah, a bunch of minerals.
In addition, there are mines producing ores for heavy industry, lead, and copper.
Mm.
Some iron ore is also mined.
Those are the expensive ones,
Iron
right?
is essential to the production of steel.
Yes. That's what I
Steel
assume is
production also
expensive.
depends upon a steady supply of coal. Poland is the world's 7th largest producer of hard coal.
How do
And
you
though
produce
much of the coal
coal?
is used in Polish industries, large amounts are exported.
Wow.
This
So they have
coal
great
is from a
production.
mine located in the busy district of Upper Silesia, where most of Poland's coal mining activity is concentrated. In and around Upper Silesia, this large mining area, are many industrial cities. The people who live in these cities are mainly factory workers.
Yeah, of course. They're
All
moving.
large factories,
They're moving where the money is, of course.
like the mines of Poland, are owned and operated by the government.
Yeah, of course.
In these factories, Poles produce a number of different goods. Steel, of course, to be used in Polish industries, such as the making of automobiles, heavy industrial equipment, farm machinery, television receivers, and other electrical equipment.
They had. Well, I don't know what year
Instruments
this was.
for use in engineering projects.
Maybe this is dumb of me, but I thought that by the I don't know, 1950, I don't know if it's the decade or just a year, but I thought TVs weren't that widespread in the 1950s. Maybe.
And shipbuilding, as Poland's merchant fleet continues to grow.
Oh, I didn't know that they had a big sort of Navy thing.
There are light industries throughout Poland, too. Some factories manufacture chemicals for farms and industry. Others manufacture drugs. Textiles
Booming
and
industry.
cloth-making are more of the important light industries in Poland. Industries that are found not only in the south, but the more centrally located cities of Poland as well. But many of the goods
The big
manufactured
cities.
in Poland are not used in the country.
Oh, they're exported?
Many of Poland's goods find their ways to other countries. Manufactured mineral and agricultural products are sent by rail, by truck, or by barge to the busy port cities. This barge is on one of the largest rivers in Poland, the Oder, or in Polish, the Odra.
Never heard of it.
During the spring, summer, and early autumn months, the Oder and other rivers become important highways of trade, transporting materials
This
to
is-
Poland's Baltic seaports,
This
such
is
as
insane.
Szczecin, Gdańsk, and Gdynia.
Yeah, Szczecine's
In
near the
Gdynia.
border in Germany.
Goods brought by barges and railroad cars are loaded onto waiting ships for export. Polish goods shipped by water to such areas as Africa and ports
Oh.
of Asia and South
So far?
America are becoming increasingly important in the world market. Most Polish exports, however, are sent by rail to communist lands.
Ah.
Poland is very important in the bloc of communist countries, for it is a land of many resources. Its hard-working people have rebuilt their country from near ruins.
That's a crazy thing to me.
Once again, as has been the tradition of centuries, the farmers of the central flat plains region of Poland are producing a variety of fine crops and livestock to feed the people of Poland and other lands as well.
Oh, what a beautiful
From the
thing.
industrial south, again come large amounts of mineral resources. Coal to power factories, and mineral ores to be used as raw materials in the production of many goods. The very same reasons, the increasing productivity of the country and its wealth of resources, make Poland important not only to the communist bloc of nations, but to other nations of the world as well.
Is that the national anthem? Well, this was very, very interesting. I didn't know so many things. I think it's really interesting to sort of to sort of compare how the country was. This was what, let's say, it was 1950, but again, I don't know if it was 1950 or just a decade. Let's say around what, 70 odd years, and compared to how it is now. And you can see, oh my God, how much has changed. I think again, I don't know much about Poland, but I think they probably, I know they obviously, the land remains the same, right? They have, I think the borders, if I'm not mistaken, I don't think have changed since this time period. I'm pretty sure, I'm not 100% sure, but I think they haven't changed. But again, even if they had, the sort of the majority of the landscape, those rolling plains, and in which most of the country is flat, it's I mean I'm guessing they still grow things, right? But I don't know if they grow things to the point as they used to back in those days. I would assume, because again, I think it's just a natural thing that as technology has advanced and industries have advanced and just society in general has advanced, people are sort of moving and have been moving away from farming for at least 50 years, but it's obviously going to be more than 50 years. I think it's like closer to 60 and odd years. People have been moving away from farms just because the factories and the industry is where the jobs are basically. And obviously, of course, everything was done by hand. I don't think they do this back, well, they did this. Obviously, they didn't really have the technology to do it anywhere, somewhere in any other way. I think in this day and age, again, I don't really know much about farming practices, but I would assume no. Right now, even if you have a farm and stuff, when you grow things, and when you grow again this sort of huge acres of land in which you are growing wheat and you are growing oats and you're growing, I think, rye as well. It's not as if, oh, I have a little garden of potatoes or of tomatoes. No, I mean large scale. It's obviously, I think it's just machines, right, that do this, right, in this day and age. Probably they have someone that sort of keeps, it maintains the machinery, and also I think makes sure that everything is sort of running properly and everything's running smoothly. But they're not literally doing this by hand, as we saw the family in the farm, which the guy was literally sort of, I don't know what he was doing, but again, it looked like a really, really tough job. Again, take your pick. I mean, the other job, which was the other big industry they had of the mining industry, a really, really tough job as well. Again, do not know much about the mining industry, but I know, especially again 70 years ago, but I'm pretty sure that it was, and I think still is, a really, really tough job. The living conditions are, it's really harsh, basically. It's not as easy, and probably again in this day and age, we probably have better technology, but still, I think a lot of the things that were they're mining and stuff, I think are probably done, I think, by hand, maybe not by hand, but still they need sort of, permission, they need supervision, people's supervision. Although I'm not sure if, again, because the farmland, it's always going to be there because, again, people always need to, people always need to eat. So I don't think it's a bad, obviously it's not bad, it's not a bad investment, I think, when it comes to, I think, countries sort of investing money and putting money into obviously into farming and all. Of course, you're always going to have to grow stuff, right, in order to feed people. So I don't know, to that, it was what, 2/3 of the country at one point. Again, I'm not sure. Probably I would say right now it's really not the case. It's a little bit less, just because again there's more cities, there's more industries. Now we have technology, which I think is obviously a big part of the industry that they weren't taking into account back in those days, because of course. And probably the mining industry has been replaced a little bit by probably, or at least that's what I would assume, by probably technology, and they do other things, as in, I don't know, building chips for computers, building phones, I don't know, something of the sort. But this is what I would assume. Yes, it's not necessarily as if, the mining industry, it's a little bit in the decline. Also, I don't really know about because I don't know how green Poland is as a country, as in, they're trying to have more sustainable practices and more towards, ecological sort of, spaces. I'm not sure, and I don't know if that's really not a thing when it comes to sort of mining, because I think when you're mining heavy metals, as, they were mentioning, I can't remember the metals, but I think it was copper. I can't remember the others, but I would assume, not only, again, that's where I would assume, again, it's where the money is, because those are the things that heavy metals that people use, people as in countries use, not actual people, they use to make things, and because everything's made out of metal and all of that. But again, I'm not sure if that's a little bit incongruous with, sustainable practices, because I'm not sure. Are we destroying the environment when we're mining? Unclear. I do not know. So I wouldn't say. But again, I would assume, well, yes, this probably is not really the same anymore. That upper Silesia part, I think it was the one that had the mining business. It was probably, again, right now, it's a little bit less probably. Again, there is very industrial, I think, yes, I would assume, but not necessarily about mining. That has probably changed. But the upper part of the country in which everything is flat, yes, I would assume still you're going to find a lot of farmlands. Some parts, of course, they're probably, again, they made cities and they made towns, but they're not necessarily, this just is sprawling farmland after farmland. The other thing that was really, well, I would also, I think, just as a side note, I would love to know, because they were talking about the traditional sort of Polish breakfast. And of course, it was maybe a little bit different because they were in a farm and all. But I would love to know if people, again, in the 1950s, people that live on cities in Warsaw and in, I don't know, Gdansk and all other sort of bigger cities. I don't know if Gdansk was a big city, but let's say Warsaw. People were eating, that's a traditional Polish breakfast in the 1950s. Was that the same? And is still now in this modern times? Is this still the traditional breakfast? I assume people again now they lead sort of heavy, they lead, I think, sort of busier lives maybe, so you don't really have the time to actually sit down and again, the fresh milk, you're not eating fresh milk, obviously it's pasteurized, but it's sort of it remains the whole, you eat a sausage, you eat bread, you have butter, you have and milk, right? Those, I think, were the cornerstones of a Polish breakfast. Is that still the same again, and an egg? And I would love to know. Or if people, again, well, it is the traditional breakfast, but maybe we save that for the weekends, because again, in modern times, it's just sort of, I don't know, a piece of toast or coffee, I don't know, or maybe some eggs, I don't know. But I would love to know. Oh my God, has the breakfast changed at all? Because it would be very cute if it hadn't. I think, again, it's traditional for a reason. It has been the staple in Polish food for hundreds of years. And yes, technology and modern times and modern society has not made this, change. It's the same. The other is because I was thinking, they were mentioning about, all the technology that was coming around. Obviously, this was post-war. But they were saying about the farms and all, and they showed a clip of a place that didn't really look like farms. It looked quite like, it looks like a suburban sort of a house in the U.S., which I think was specifically around this time period, probably a little bit, I think around 1940s. But I think, again, in this time it was very in as well. The whole suburban sort of landscape and sprawl that we come to know. So it was also, I think, popular in Poland around that time period, which I think, so it was widespread. It was everywhere. So I think when they showed like a backyard with, I think, 5 houses, which were the same, it's suburbia. You can show that, again, show this little clip to someone. Hey, is this in the U.S.? And, you would ask them and people would be, yeah, sure. Again, it absolutely is. And he said, no, it's in Poland, which I think it's crazy, because I think my image of Poland was either sort of farmlands or the big sort of ancient city, well, not ancient, but the more vintage European looking cities in which people live in apartments and everything, sort of buildings and all of that, but not specifically suburbia. It's sort of, oh my God, this is very, again, picture perfect white picket fence and 2.45 kids in a house and a dog. And it looked quite similar to things that they were popular in the U.S. back in that time. So it was kind of a shock to me. And of course, the other, you could see how, again, it never ceases to amaze how incredible, I think, Poles, well, again, obviously they still are, and they should be super proud of this. But the fact that they managed to sort of, we are going to rebuild cities, which, again, you can maybe argue a lot of other countries and probably cities have gone through the same thing, and it still amazes me. And again, I'm in awe of them, just how incredible it is. I think because the morale is super low, right? You've been through something incredibly traumatic, incredibly awful. There was a war, the city was destroyed, and people were, no, well, we're just going to rebuild it, and we're going to rebuild it just as the more similar it can look to how it used to be, I think the better. Which is such an amazing thing to me. It shows that again, people are not they don't really give up easily. I think they can either, again, you can throw anything at me and I'm going to come out victorious. I'm going to make the most of this, and I'm going to make the most of what I can. I don't know. I'm just going to take what's given to me, and I'm going to attempt and going to do my best, which I think it's crazy, because I think in other probably circumstances, probably people would have been, it would have been so easy to give up or just be, well, this was taken from us and maybe we're just going to start anew. We're just going to, again, because everything was completely destroyed. So let's take care of the rubble and then either leave it like that or just attempt to do something new. And they're, no, we're going to, and I think I see it more as a reclaiming probably than just a sort of, a clean slate. Instead of a clean slate, we are going to do the whole sort of replica, and we're going to replicate as many things as we can, because this was taken from us. So I think I see it as an act of resilience, and it's lovely, right? I think if you actually think about this, because it's just, this was taken from us. We didn't want to, obviously, to go through this tremendously horrific thing. But, now that we're done and we made it to the end, and we're going to reflect on this. And yes, we're going to reclaim it, which I think is just a beautiful thing of, oh yeah, we're going to make it as similar as possible to what was taken from us. And it's incredible, because I was also thinking about this of, oh my God, how on earth did they, because again, it was, 1950s, 1940s. I assume they didn't really had a lot of pictures of how the city looked and how they did this. And it was through paintings, which, oh my God, absolutely. If I think about this for more than 2 seconds, I am going to tear up and I'm going to start crying, because it is a beautiful act of resilience. And it's just, oh my God, how lovely it is. And also I think it shows how important art can be, because it was probably a painting that was done, ages and ages ago. But again, because it was done, obviously the painter didn't really do this with the point of, oh yeah, in a bunch of years, someone's going to need this in order, again, not for art just because it looks nice or just because, this was a reflection of, I don't know, the time that I was in my artistic process. No, this is going to have another use besides looking nice or looking beautiful or just something pleasing to the eyes. It's going to be actually quite useful in ways that I do not think about this. So it's really nice also, I think, if you think about art in that way of who knows what could happen. It's, the turns, the table, the life gives you, I don't know, the tables are going to turn around so many times in your life that, again, whatever you imagine, things are going to be, they're not going to be that at all, basically. So I think it's just crazy. But that's it for today, and I'll see you next time. Bye!